Welcome back, guys. My name is Wendy Papazian, and I'm the chairman of the board for Keller Williams KidScan. And we are here as a follow up to yesterday, making sure who was here yesterday? Everybody? Yeah, raise your hand. Awesome. Well, you got a big day today. I'm just going to kind of walk through a little bit about what's going to happen today. All right, so best practices for day 2. I'm sure your head's kind of exploding from yesterday. I can remember the first time I took Quantum Leap. I was 39 years old. I had just started my real estate practice. And it was at the end of a long conference. And honestly, my head was kind of turned inside out. It was a lot of information to take in. And I've taken it so many times since then, and just understand that you're not going to absorb every single thing. That's one of the reasons I teach it, is because the best way to learn is to teach. And so we're really just thinking about kind of your big takeaways. So today, make sure you listen, make sure you take notes. The best way to remember things is just to write them down. And then I guess there'll be ahas after Gary speaks again today, Brandy?
There'll be ahas at the very end of the day.
Okay, at the very end.
And then at noon, though, before lunch, before they grab lunch, if you want to, do a little bit there, you could.
Okay, great. So here's the schedule for the morning, and then we're going to go into our ahas. So start thinking about your ahas from yesterday. So Gary's going to be on at 9. Hopefully he's not late. He's slightly notorious, but when you're a billionaire, you get to do what you want. And then that's going to go from 9 to 12. We're going to take a break after that, but I'm going to hop on right at 12. I'm going to remind you kind of what you need to know for the afternoon. And then we're going to go into some breakout rooms, which are going to be awesome. So like, think about Gary's presentation. He's kind of just almost like vomiting his wisdom on you guys for 8 hours. And then what the breakouts do is we kind of help you digest that information and put that information into practice. So for some of you that are like, wow, this is amazing. How do I become a billionaire? How do I put this into practice in my life? We're going to help you with that in the breakouts. So make sure that you stick around for that, because most people who take this session, they feel like that's the best part. Like, yes, it was great to hear from Gary. He's amazing. And the best part was really the breakout session, because that's how we put everything into place that we learned. So make sure you stick around for that. And that's going to start at about 12:30. So Gary's going to speak till 12. I'm going to get on just briefly for 5 minutes, remind you to not leave. And then we're going to come back at 12:30. I'm going to talk a little bit about discovering your big why and funding your mission. And then we're going to do a panel with some students, and then we're going to do a Zoom, like where we're going to break out into smaller sessions. And then the afternoon is really where the work is, where we're going to figure out how to set and achieve goals. And honestly, the stuff you guys were talking about this afternoon is the thing. Like, if you want to move forward with your life, figuring out a framework for how to achieve massive success in your life is the thing. Like, we're going to talk about something that I've used personally for my life, where I've seen my wealth grow exponentially. I've seen my relationships grow exponentially. I've seen not only my business success, but also my personal success grow exponentially. And we're going to give you the framework for how to make that happen. It's incredible. I've used it forever. I've used it for probably 20 years now, and it's just helped me a lot. And then Jay's going to come on. Jay, my husband's going to come on, and he's going to talk a little bit about The One Thing, which is his best-selling book. This book has sold over 2 million copies. He wrote it with Gary Keller. And I'll just tell you guys, there are very few business books in the world that have ever sold 2 million copies. So the wisdom that he's going to throw down in that half an hour is going to be definitely worth waiting for. And then really at the end of the day, we're going to break everything down again. We're going to talk about the ahas. And so I want you guys to really be writing down some of the big things that you're really going to implement, because that's really what an aha is. I got a really good gift from a friend of mine who told me that the best thing you can do after you go to an event, go to a learning event, is to put your ahas on sticky notes. right? So it might just be two ahas, it might be three, it might be four, it might be five, whatever. And then you put them up somewhere where you can see them. So maybe you put them on the fridge or you put them on, the back of your computer, something like that. And you don't pull them down until you've implemented them. Because it's great to go to a class, it makes you feel good, you learn a lot, you feel smart. And at the end of the day, if you don't do anything with what you've learned, if you don't implement anything, then you're just back to where you were. You just wasted a couple hours. You might as well have been on Facebook. So that's really what ahas are for. Your ahas are your big ideas that you're going to implement in your life, right? So with that, we're going to take about 7 minutes, maybe a little bit more, depending on if Gary's going to hop right on at 9 or not. And I want you to share your ahas from yesterday. So why don't we start with Joseph?
Hi, hello there. My name is Joseph Harrison. I'm representing San Diego, California. And one of the ahas was that graph that he had about being extroverted as well as being someone who is uh, like being quick to act versus being very thoughtful. Like he was comparing an accountant and how they get like really thinking about things. So that really helped me understand a lot more about who I am and choosing my path to mastery and choosing the right things to master. And it gave me a lot more clarity. So that was a big aha for me.
I love that. All right, Savannah, let's make these quick because I want to get as many in as we can. So what did you say, Brandy? Brevity is our friend this morning.
Brevity is an act. Your brevity is an act of kindness.
Yeah.
I'm Savannah, Colorado, Director of Operations for the Fishkin team. And I took this class 2 years ago. And when we talked about whose life are you leading, I was like, oh, I'm totally living mine. Like my parents have always encouraged me to do, create my own path. However, this time when we went through the exercise, I actually realized I've been living the life of the people that told me I can't through high school and just bad social groups. So just coming to that and just doing a really good evaluation of who my closest five are.
Yeah, that's huge. Wow. Yeah, that's huge. And guys, I'll just tell you, your five's going to change. Your five's going to change the more you grow in your life, and there will be people that want to drag you down, and those people might be people that love you and are in your family, and you're not going to let them go, but you're not going to spend a lot of time with them. That's just what a big life looks like. All right, Kara's got her hand raised.
Hi everyone, I'm Kara, I'm from Philadelphia, currently in a career transition into real estate, so happy to be here, thanks for having me. I, along with Savannah, also had an aha moment writing down, whose life are you leading? Kind of similar, but I feel like for the past couple of years out of college have been always, even in college, making decisions on what's best for what my family thinks, what my friends thinks, being successful for other people, to be able to help other people and to be able to, show other people what I can do. And I've never really thought of it along the lines of like just being successful for myself and living my own dreams and my own goals just for the sake of, my own happiness, my own feelings of success. So that was a big aha moment for me as well.
Amazing. Mira's got her hand raised.
Hi everyone. My aha from yesterday was that was something that Gary said, where he said no one should have permission to make you feel bad about yourself. And I think that kind of stuck with me because I've found that my limiting belief was that I lack in confidence. So that's why I wrote it on so I can see what he said. It just reminds me to be fearless and to believe in myself more. So definitely that was aha for me.
To be fearless. I love that.
I love that. Well, you know what? And can I speak to that? Is that what I think is actually to be true is that even really successful people, they have fear. They feel fear. And it's not that we're fearless, it's that we do it anyway.
Yeah,
It's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what true courage is you just do it anyway, even though the fear is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, smile through the fear.
Yeah. Yeah, or whatever. Grimace, cry. Just do it anyway.
Few things. Yeah.
Who else haven't we heard from? Who's got an aha from yesterday? Alyssa?
Yeah, so I think one of my ahas had to be how he says no matter what the project, regardless of whatever you're creating, it's about having people that support you, but you don't need the validation from them. You know, you can still execute your plan without having to hear what their opinions are. You just need to find a team that helps you and puts on the different hats, you know, and then you need to find the blue hat and control that one.
I love that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Steven's got an aha.
Hi, good morning. I would say that my biggest aha from yesterday was he said, wake up every morning, you know, wanting everything, wanting to have everything and wanting to do everything, but just know that it's not going to always work out that way. And when he said that Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men in the world and he still couldn't even afford to buy Texas. So that kind of just makes you think that you can have what you want in life, but it's, you know, not everyone's going to have it all. So
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. And your choices are everything. And you get to make the
Absolutely.
choices. And the reality is that most people just wander around thinking that life happens to them. You know, you all know that. You probably, there's people in your family like that. They just think that they're a victim and life happens to them. And the reality is you get to choose. You get to choose your life. All right, Maria.
Hello, my grand happened yesterday was when Gary started to say that the biggest famous person, the biggest successful person is that one who failed a lot. That to be successful, you have to fail, and don't take it wrong. I mean, like between more you fail, more experience you can have, more experience you can, and more achievements you can have in your life. And it's only start to think that you can put your fear away to fail and start trying and trying to finally you can get it.
I love that. That's awesome. Alyssa's got her hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, my family and I were talking about something similar yesterday. My mom is a team leader, and she was recruiting an agent to her office, and they ended up having to do the meeting in my mom's car. And the agent was like, "Oh, this is my dream car. I've always just wanted to sit in this car." And my mom thought it was strange that she said sit in it, not own it. And because we were basically started talking, you know, people set such little goals for themselves and they don't actually set goals because they think it's unattainable. So like we were talking about yesterday, you know, if you just work towards what you really want and you make sure your goals are clear and specific, you can actually achieve what you really want to achieve and not just have to set such small goals for yourself.
I love that. Well, and I would tell you guys that thinking bigger is a muscle, which sounds weird, but thinking bigger is a muscle that you get better at. It's like doing hard things is a muscle, right? Some of us maybe have never done a lot of hard things, or maybe some of us have done a lot of hard things, and that when you do hard things and when you think bigger, it allows you to then the next time do something that's even harder or even think bigger. So there is, Giselle says, big aha for me yesterday is that there's no such thing as a balanced life. There's only counterbalancing. This was huge for me because I used to think that you had to be perfect in order to be successful. However, that is not the case. We need to learn to counterbalance in life. That's huge. All right. Who else has an aha from yesterday? Gary's gonna be a few minutes late, so I need you guys to raise your hands. Otherwise you're gonna be stuck listening to me. Tim's got an aha.
So Leah's had her hand up for a while. So Leah, go first.
One of the ahas I had was he was talking about a magnifying glass. And when you have a magnifying glass outside, you have to put it just at the right distance and you have to harness the sun. But what also you have to do is once you get it focused, you have to leave it there for it to catch on fire. And that just reminded me of the fact that once you're focused, you have to have consistency in order for it to catch on fire. But what he said, a lot of people just have their lives are leaves with a bunch of burn marks because they never stayed long enough for it to catch on fire. And so it's like you got to get focused and have alignment, but then you also have to have consistency and leave it there for a while.
I love that. That's incredible. That's a
I
huge
love it.
aha. Yeah, because the reality is that it's more fun to move the magnifying glass around.
Mm.
It's boring to hold it there, and often success looks boring. Honestly, it's boring. That's just part of it. You got to do the work. All right, who am I missing? I can't always
Savannah?
see everyone.
Celia.
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 Okay, Celia.
Okay. Sorry, Celia.
No, you're fine. Well, my name is Celia. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm an applied engineering major at Kent State. And one of my ahas from yesterday was life is knowing and doing, and your psychology influences your biology. And I basically really agreed with what he said right there, because he said that's kind of like the formula of life. You know, your thoughts, they affect your actions. Like thoughts become deeds, and what else he was saying? Like things of that such. And I also felt like that correlated with what he was saying, like the purpose of your physical being is to grow your spirituality. So I really connected, especially with his moments when he was talking about your spirituality and growing as a spiritual being, because I feel like that as a person, that just really shows your character, and that can really propel you in your success if you're just a good person inside. So I really like those aha moments from yesterday.
Love that. That's huge.
Love that too.
Yeah. All right, Paco's got something for us.
Hello. Yes, I had many. I'm a massive note taker, and I have a bunch of golden nuggets here. But one of the things that really caught my attention was that Gary is an observant of life, and he wants to understand how things work out. And he's been journaling since he was in high school or something like that, or early college. And that just blew my mind. And now, no wonder, after reading the books that he has, why he can create frameworks. It comes from he being thoughtful and, you know, putting an eye on what matters in whatever he does and creating models to make it work. And for me, that's super useful in whatever I do in business, because I think similarly, but I never document anything. So that was huge for me.
That's huge. Yeah, I love that. Well, yeah, and I guess if Paco's willing to share his notes, since you're a super note taker, maybe you should message him privately. All right, Savannah's got her hand raised.
Hello again. Another thing that I realized yesterday too, of being in a leadership role on my team, is that I've been reading the book Daring Leaders by Brenda Brown, and then sorry, that's my dog in the background.
I think it's called, that's okay. I think it's called Dare to Lead.
Yes, thank you.
By Brene.
And just obviously with all the KW trainings that I go to, sorry, my dog. I just have realized though that I've been learning to lead others, but I haven't been working, like even though I'm working on leadership skills for myself, I haven't been asking myself the same questions. And when Gary started talking about that yesterday, it just kind of was an eye-opener of, am I asking the same questions to myself and setting the same expectations that I'm setting for everybody else also? So that was just kind of a rude awakening also.
I love that. Yeah. Well, the only way you can become a leader is to start by leading yourself. That's it. All right, we've got some ahas in the chat, which I want to share. It says it's Rebecca says the aha for me is success comes from when you master something, and we always think before we take action. Also, we have to acknowledge in order to prevent ourselves from being a victim in the work business. Yeah, really everything is our choice, right? Zawadi says my biggest aha moment is that we are the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. Be with people who will build you up and not people who will destroy you. Yeah. Who else has an aha from yesterday?
I've got one. I don't know if you can see me. But yeah, I am Jacob Knutson, and mine was it was just the direct quote was, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. And that was really, really good for me because I've always had trouble finding the metric for how hard should you be pushing or what exactly should you be doing. And the idea of always shooting to fail, I guess, was a really, really good mindset maker for me. And I got a lot out of that. So that'll be a great one to implement in the future.
I love that. Yeah, that's huge. And I mentioned this yesterday, but I think part of the reason we all are really worried about failure is that our public school education teaches us that an F is the worst thing that we can do. And what does an F stand for? Fail, right? So it makes perfect sense that we're all afraid of failure. We all want to win, and yet that isn't how we win. People, you could literally go through life never failing, but never really achieving anything either. All right, we got tons of stuff going on in the chat box. Okay, Alyssa, right? You have another aha for us? You got your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just gonna say another thing for me that was really interesting was the victim model, because I do find that tendency in myself quite a few times. And so it's really hard for me sometimes to kind of think it through, but like, well, I really could have done this instead of just like sitting back and letting someone else handle it. Or, you really have to just kind of break through that initial tendency to be like, well, someone else will do it. I'm not in charge of that, so I don't have to do it. And I think with the victim mentality comes a certain level of laziness, because you don't really want to take that initiative and really put it upon yourself to take leadership. And so you have to make sure that you have the ambition and the drive to really want to break through that and take responsibility and take leadership, because then your results will get better, and your life you'll see a real big change in that, because your life will turn into a big success story, of course with failures, because we always need to have some sort of failure to break through. But you really just need to make sure you take responsibility and have that ambition and drive to break through it.
Yeah, I love that, because really we're responsible for everything. And I'll tell you guys a little, like, it's a dumb little story, but somebody said to me once, you're responsible for everything. Even if you drive to Target and there's not a single parking spot available, that's still your fault. Which seems weird. It's like everybody else filled those spots up, but you chose to go at 5:30 in the afternoon when there's lots of people going to Target. Like everything that happens in our life, like we can't control what happens to us. We can only control what we think about it. So if you really start to adopt this mentality that everything is your choice, and really it's all a result of your choosing, then you're just going to go forward a lot faster in your life. So there's some good stuff happening in the chat over here. Dylan said, main focus for me, using my time as efficiently as possible. So knowing and utilizing this rule will help me grow greatly. I love that. The only thing we all have is time. All right, Dylan's got another aha for us.
Hey, good morning, Lindy.
Morning.
From Maui here. We're at 4 a.m. So.
Wow. Let's just give him a hand.
Yeah, you win. You win.
Thank you. So I think it was just the beginning section. It's just a takeaway that I've already implemented, and since yesterday I've been thinking differently. I just noticed in my interactions with my our agents here. But just the mission, vision, having a very clear mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective written out yesterday, and then as I had my values pinned up on my wall, I just noticed that everything I said and how I interacted with people was a little bit different. Everything I said, was it with integrity? Was it honest? Was it truthful and kind? And so those are the things that I had written down for my values. And so that was just a huge takeaway, and I'm going to keep it pinned up here in my office. But I'm so grateful for that, and just such a great reminder to shape kind of the us that we want to be. So.
I love that. Well, and we're going to be talking a little bit later after Gary about funding your mission, right? So I believe my definition of being wealthy is having enough passive income to fund your mission. We're going to talk about that. How do you create enough investments so that you can literally fund your mission without having to go to work every day for it? To me, that's it. You nailed life, And most of us walk around and we have no idea why we're on this planet. We just have no idea. And so one of the things Quantum Leap teaches us is that we're all here for a reason. We may not know it specifically right now. I was 38 years old before I started my real estate practice, and I just kind of wandered around from job to job before that. and truly figured out that, my mission is to empower and inspire big thinking leaders to create lives of abundance. And having that as a framework for your life allows you to make better choices, right? So it's all kind of like stacking up together. It's like Gary talked about yesterday. We are the sum of our choices, and we can make better choices if we know why God, put us here on earth. So, and it takes a while to figure that out, or maybe some of you are perfectly clear about it. So, let's see, who else has their hand raised? Connor.
So I had a quick aha moment where I kind of paired two things together that I was listening about. I think the first one was the inside creation versus outside creation. So like first thinking of something and then second doing something. And then also pairing that with limited versus unlimited thinking beliefs. So I kind of have a process in my head that I'm a maker. And I went to school for architecture, so I just do knick-knack things. And so there's a lot of times I come up with an idea and then I do an unlimited belief or a limited belief. So I never get to the actual second creation, and you do. So one thing I'll be practicing is an inside first creation with an unlimited belief. So I'll do something.
Wow, that kind of gave me chills. That's awesome. Who else? Who else has something from yesterday? S. Lang.
Yes.
Can you hear me? I have
Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm Sydney. Yeah. I just use slang because it's a word.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So what I thought was really helpful to understand were the different hats that we wear. So like I've always known that I'm a logical, deductive thinker. And like my family would be like, oh, you always look at the negative side. I'm like, no, I'm not being negative. Like these are potential pitfalls that you guys are just ignoring. But understanding that what type of thinker they are and realizing that I need to supplement all the different kinds of hats within my own thinking rather than just being really good at the type that I am.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. I love that. Yeah, I'm a very optimistic, influential thinker, and I live with a couple people like you who are very black hat. My husband's a very black hat thinker, and it kind of drives us both crazy. I think I'm like, it's all fine. He's like, no, it's not. And it's just that's the great thing about when you guys start to run your own organizations, right? You understand that you have a certain skill set, and if you had an organization full of people like you, it would be a complete disaster, right? Teamwork is the dream work, and you need people from all of those kinds of thinking to make a great team. All right, who else do we have? Easton.
Easton, yeah.
So it's not a direct takeaway as much as it's like the intersection of a couple of things, of like nobody can make you feel bad about yourself and everything being a function of your own choices. So like when you look at improvement, something I've heard before is actually I've heard it referred to as the 40-40-20 rules in relation to into playing games. Like 40% you're going to win no matter what, 40% you're going to lose no matter what, and 20% you control yourself. But you need to treat everything like it's that 20%. And I think that applies a lot in life as well. But the flip side of that is if you look at it directly as everything is my fault and internalize that the wrong way, then you are going to make yourself feel bad about yourself. You're going to project that onto others and make them make you feel bad about yourself. So to find the balance between like I control every aspect of my life and still having a good outlook on it, I think is a very, very important thing to take away from this. Because if you don't have that, like if you don't have the constructive mindset of I can control this, but I'm not like an outright failure because of it, then that ultimately is what begets growth.
Yeah, I love that. And just to add to that is that we always control what we think about a situation. Right? We either think like, oh, this really bad thing happened to me, or this really bad thing happened to me and here's what I learned from it. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. That's really smart. Yeah. Gary's
I think
here?
we're about ready to
All
wrap
right.
up now. So
All right. With having said that, let's go to the big man himself.
Do it.